stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country.
Donald Trump has carried many labels over the years: businessman, showman, disruptor. But to Stephen Colbert and Robert De Niro, all of that was just window dressing. They cut straight through the image and revealed what they saw as nothing more than an act. In their eyes, Trump wasn't the daring outsider or fearless trailblazer he claimed to be. He was simply the loudest voice in the room, selling a broken product and persuading millions it was worth gold. Their roast tore down the illusion, leaving the salesman stripped of his spectacle.
Was buddies with a pedophile. On Friday, the Wall Street Journal dropped an absolute bombshell. They are reporting that in 2003, Trump sent a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday that was sexually suggestive. Yeah, it's the most inappropriate birthday gift since Carvel debuted Fudgy the Hung Like a Whale. Now,
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Colbert mocked Trump's performance as if it were a late-night parody that just wouldn't end, while De Niro attacked it with the raw intensity of someone fed up with cheap theatrics. Together, they ripped apart the illusion, portraying Trump not as a political heavyweight, but as a man so hooked on spectacle that he mistook applause for real leadership. Colbert wasted no time dismantling the myth of Trump as a master dealmaker, instead painting him as someone who rarely ever finished what he said. Casinos that crumbled like poorly stacked cards to universities that duped students with empty promises. Colbert ridiculed Trump's resume as a graveyard of failed ventures dressed up in gold lettering. He portrayed Trump's so-called business genius as nothing more than a magic trick built on smoke, mirrors, and bankruptcy filings. Every boast of success, Colbert argued, was like watching a man insist his sinking ship was a luxury cruise, right up until you noticed the passengers scrambling for lifeboats.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's letter featured several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with heavy marker. In the drawing, a pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. Do you know what that means? That means Donald Trump has drawn pubic hair on every executive.
De Niro added a darker edge to the picture, attacking Trump not just as a failure, but as a genuine danger. He portrayed him as a man who thrived on chaos, someone who couldn't function unless the room was on fire. To De Niro, Trump wasn't a leader at all. He was an arsonist, lighting political fires only to step in front of the flames and declare himself the hero. The bravado, the tweets, the endless cycle of outrage. These weren't signs of strength, he argued, but symptoms of deep weakness. What the world mistook for power was, in reality, insecurity dressed up in capital letters and exclamation points.
It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote.
Colbert circled back to Trump's obsession with image, roasting his fixation on crowd sizes and his compulsive need to label everything as the biggest, the best, the most beautiful. He compared it to a child wearing a crayon crown, scribbling "world's greatest" on every surface in sight. Colbert underscored that Trump's constant self-promotion wasn't confidence, it was fear. Fear of being forgotten. The endless bragging, he argued, wasn't proof of achievement, but a desperate attempt to fill the silence that comes when there's nothing real. Pushed the theme even further, arguing that Trump's obsession with image wasn't just laughable, it was insulting. Here was a man with immense power and influence, yet his daily focus revolved around TV ratings and magazine covers. De Niro mocked the small-mindedness of a leader who measured his worth in headlines, as if running a country were nothing more than another season of a reality show. He compared Trump's style of governance to directing a bad movie, full of loud explosions, senseless plots, and endless retakes, with the director constantly storming onto the set to declare his own brilliance. Colbert piled on, joking that the teleprompter wasn't there to guide Trump's speeches, but simply to remind him where he was. Each rally, Colbert implied, played out like a comedy routine without a punchline, except the crowd wasn't laughing with Trump, they were laughing at him.
Really worry that if he were to win again, and I'm not saying this like it's such a far-fetched notion, if he were to win again, that he would not give up power?
You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is, shame on you.
De Niro matched that energy by zeroing in on Trump's theatrical persona. Every entrance, every gesture, every exaggerated hand motion, he argued, was part of a performance. To De Niro, it was like method acting gone wrong. Trump had convinced himself that playing the role of a strongman actually made him one. The scowls, the bravado, the posturing, it was all theater with no substance. He wasn't just fooling the public, he was fooling himself into believing applause equaled power. Colbert, meanwhile, turned his attention to Trump's obsession with media worship. He painted him not as a world leader, but as a thin-skinned celebrity who couldn't handle bad reviews, the first president whose greatest enemy wasn't the opposition party, but critics handing him 2 stars out of 5. De Niro drove the point further, warning that this obsession with image wasn't just shallow, it was dangerous. Decisions were made for optics, not strategy. Policies were crafted for applause lines, not lasting impact. The cost of the performance was very real.
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
Are you
Excuse my French.
De Niro framed it as the ultimate betrayal, a leader who treated the nation as nothing more than a stage prop, trading substance for spectacle at every opportunity. Colbert zeroed in on the irony of Trump's so-called populism. Here was a man who branded himself as the champion of ordinary people, yet his life was built on privilege, luxury, and a distance from everyday struggles. Colbert mocked the idea of Trump as an outsider, describing him instead as the country club guest who claimed to understand the lives of the caddies. For De Niro, Trump would be remembered not as the builder he pretended to be, but as the destroyer of norms, of trust, of unity. His critique carried the authority of someone who had seen through countless Hollywood performances, and he wasn't impressed. Trump's act, he insisted, wasn't just unconvincing anymore, it was tired, worn out, and dangerous in its persistence.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios, something about, I said, what just happened. No, it didn't. Didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it. I think we all are. It's insane. So that's why I felt I had to do something, say something about it.
Together, Colbert and De Niro delivered a demolition unlike anything else. Colbert's wit sliced through the absurdities, turning Trump's antics into punchlines waiting to be told, while De Niro's intensity gave those jokes weight, transforming mockery into condemnation. By the end, Trump wasn't the bold leader he claimed to be. He was a caricature, trapped in his own performance, endlessly rehearsing lines for a play the audience had already left. The undeniable truth they hammered home was this: Trump's greatest skill wasn't leadership, it was self-promotion. Colbert framed it as pure comedy. Trump wasn't Napoleon plotting world domination. He was a man tweeting at 3 a.m. about cable hosts who failed to flatter him. Not a master strategist at a chessboard, but someone still fumbling with Connect 4, and even then, cheating by yanking out the bottom row when the game didn't go his way. Colbert's roast sting the most was his ability to show just how predictable Trump had become. Every controversy, every scandal, every supposed shock was really just a recycled rerun of the same old playbook: deny, deflect, distract. Colbert compared Trump's career to a bad sitcom reboot, recycling the same lines, the same laugh track, the same tired catchphrases, only with fewer fans tuning in each season. Even his rallies, Colbert joked, felt like cover bands playing the same old songs, except the crowd wasn't rocking out, they were nodding off in MAGA hats. De Niro, never one to hold back, went straight for the jugular when addressing Trump's so-called toughness. The performance of strength, he argued, is not strength. To him, Trump was just a man hiding behind bluster, because without it, there was nothing left.
I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting right now. I don't care for him. Doesn't seem to have like the skill set. Doesn't have the skill set to be president. Just not a good fit.
The brilliance of their combined roast was how they turned Trump into a parody of himself. Colbert ridiculed his speaking style, the half-finished sentences that wandered aimlessly before circling back to the same tired brag. To him, it was like watching a GPS with only two destinations, Trump Tower and Mar-a-Lago, that still somehow managed to get lost along the way. De Niro piled on by mocking Trump's body language, the exaggerated hand gestures, the puffed chest, not the presence of a commanding leader, but a nervous magician frantically trying to distract the audience from realizing the trick wasn't working. And when the subject shifted to Trump's obsession with loyalty, both Colbert and De Niro went in hard. They argued that Trump demanded loyalty not to the country, not to principles, but to himself. What emerged was a portrait of fragility masquerading as dominance, a man so insecure that his entire empire of power depended on forcing others to clap louder.
Go f yourself. On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go f yourself.
Colbert especially enjoyed skewering Trump's tendency to live in an alternate reality. From insisting he won elections, he clearly lost to denying things caught on camera. Colbert said Trump was less a politician and more a walking conspiracy theory with a spray tan. He thrives not on truth, but on manufacturing a constant fog of confusion, a place where facts go to die. Colbert mocked it by imagining a world where Trump could claim the sun rises in the west, and half his supporters would dutifully line up, sunglasses on, facing the wrong horizon. The joke landed because it exposed not just Trump's delusion, but the culture of denial he deliberately cultivates. De Niro, meanwhile, aimed straight at Trump's character, or lack thereof. He blasted him as a man who measured success not in decency or integrity, but in gold-plated fixtures and follower counts. To De Niro, Trump's legacy wasn't wealth or leadership, but a trail of lawsuits, bankruptcies, and burned bridges. Colbert's humor softened the blows just enough to make them sting harder, while De Niro's fury amplified the absurdity until it was undeniable. Together, they didn't just chip away at Trump's image, they collapsed the entire mythology built around him. He wasn't revealed as a misunderstood genius or even a tragic figure. He was exposed as what he always was, a salesman peddling an empty product. A carnival barker whose show had gone on far too long past the point of entertainment.